Let's now meet a gentleman who's originally from Switzerland and a one-time member of the Swiss national ski team. At age 24, he obtained a PhD in economics from the University of Zurich. He predicted the Asian financial crisis of the 90s, the dot-com bubble burst, and the global financial meltdown, to name but a few. He's the editor and publisher of the Gloom, Boom and Doom Report, which is online at gloomboomdoom.com. It's our great pleasure to welcome to Radio Indochine, Marc Faber. How are you, mate?
Fine, thank you. And yourself?
I mustn't grumble, my friend. We're relaxing here in paradise and things couldn't be better. Now, a busy year, financially speaking. We've had, of course, the biggest news, I guess, economically would be the eurozone crisis. America is still printing money like the Zimbabweans did a few years ago. What's your take on how 2011 went?
Well, I think it went pretty much as I thought it would go, in the sense that my view was that after the huge rally we had after March 2009, the emerging markets would have a correction, and that the US market would essentially outperform emerging economies. My view was also that there would be a slowdown in the Chinese economy, which would then affect the prices of industrial commodities.
So the eurozone crisis, it doesn't look good. It looks like perhaps it's by design, well, in my small mind, from an island perspective anyway, and perhaps heading in the same direction as the massive catastrophe that appears to have gripped the United States. What do you see playing out in 2012, or what's your vision of the European Union in 2012, financially speaking?
Well, my view would be that, as they have done before, central banks will print money.
Yep.
Because the system is basically broken. And the only thing that governments, with their agents, the central bankers, and the fiscal authorities can do is basically postpone the problem. They're not going to solve it. But they can postpone it by printing money. And in some form or the other, I think that the ECB will print money. And should the U.S. economy slow down once again or deteriorate, I think QE3 will become a reality. I also happen to think that the Chinese will ease, and also the Indian Reserve Bank. And so we'll get more money printing. It's not going to help the average household in the world, because the average household suffers from rising cost of living.
Yep.
But it may help equities stabilize and even increase in value.
Right. So for the untrained, such as myself, I mean, this seems like sticking a Band-Aid on a cut vein. You know, I mean, you're not going to stop the core problem just by printing more money. Am I correct?
You're right.
So what's the silver bullet? What's the solution long term, looking beyond government?
Well, basically, you know, this year, the smartest people, essentially the hedge fund managers, lost money.
Yep.
And the right strategy for this year was to accept that we would have a lot of volatility, and that in absence of knowing how the world will look like at year-end 2011 or year-end 2015 and so forth, my advice is to essentially have a diversified portfolio of assets. So to your listener who live in Phuket, I suppose that to own some properties in Thailand is quite desirable.
Yep.
You have to structure it properly so the property rights are well maintained. And at the same time, I would hold some cash, and hold some gold, and hold some shares.
Sure.
If you live in Thailand, I think the Thai share market will rather go down somewhat in the next few months.
Yep.
But it is good value because the dividend yield is very high on Thai shares.
There you go. Well, that sort of answered my next question. Where should mum and dad park their money in 2012 to be insured? So you think a diversification, 25% real estate, 25% precious metals, 25% cash, 25% sensible shares, yeah?
Yes, whereby, you know, every person has different financial condition in terms of the cash flow he's receiving, from either working or from his pension, from investments that he's got already, and so forth. But by and large, this asset allocation would be the asset allocation that I would advocate.
Just very quickly, I've got a friend, he's American, and he's buying cheap houses, $10,000, $20,000 houses in the US, renting them out for sort of $800 to $1,000 a month. Do you see the US real estate market as somewhere where you might want to park a few dollars, or is it something to steer clear of?
Well, you see, he's an American and he pays American tax.
Sure.
And he may have some insight into a local real estate market and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
But my advice to anybody living outside the U.S. that isn't an American citizen is to stay out of the U.S.
Yep.
because the house he's buying may be inexpensive. That I agree. The real estate market in America is quite inexpensive. But by the time he will have paid his property tax, the maintenance on the house, and so forth and so on, there are lots of issues also about the foreclosure documents that are not entirely clear to a foreigner. In other words, you and I, we would have to travel to the U.S. and stay there and get acquainted with the market, and at the end of the day, a lot of it would be taxed away. In particular, if you have children and you passed away, an estate duty would then be applicable to you.
Okay, there you go. And Mark, what's your plans for 2000?
I would rather buy in Thailand or in Laos or Cambodia or Vietnam than in the US.
Absolutely. Those Laos, Cambodia and Vietnam, I think, are all coming up very good indeed. I think Phuket's somewhat overpriced, but that's just my humble opinion.
Yes, that I tend to agree.
Sure.
That the Phuket market is high compared to the rest of the region. But you have to understand, it's like in St. Moritz or in Gstaad or in Aspen or in Palm Beach, prices are high because they attract people that have a lot of money.
This is true. All right. Marc Faber, thank you for stopping by on Radio Indochine. I really appreciate your time. Just very quickly, in 2012, are you going to continue working as vigorously as you have been, or are you going to chill out a little bit more and take some time to relax?
Well, I relax quite a lot, but I have to work, and I think it's better in life to work and have an occupation that you halfway like.
Yeah.
I mean, writing is like climbing a mountain. When you get up in the morning, you may not like it, and when it's complete and you reach the summit of the mountain, it may give you a good feeling.
This is true.
So I think, yes, I will continue to write. I think it's better for me to do that than to be drinking and whoring the whole day.
Good on you, Mark. Now, mate, your excellent writings can be found at gloomboomdoom.com, and we thank you once again for stopping by. Have a great day.
It's my pleasure. Yes, you too. Bye.
Thank you.